Hey there, this is Kim Newlove with the Perrysburg podcast. This is episode 146. Welcome to the show. The Perrysburg podcast, as always, is a resource for Perrysburg residents. We talk about what's in Perrysburg and why people like to live here. The website is perrysburgpodcast.com. I've got a little bit different kind of an episode for you today. This is a Mother's Day themed episode. Happy Mother's Day to all of the moms in Perrysburg and beyond. This episode publishes on Friday, May 8th, 2026, and Mother's Day, of course, is this weekend, May 10th. So, again, this is a Mother's Day themed episode. As we get started, I would like to acknowledge that even though this episode celebrates moms, Mother's Day can also feel complicated, painful, or bittersweet for some people. So, no matter what this holiday feels like for you, I hope there's something in this episode that resonates with you today. This episode has a few goals. I have three on my outline here. First of all, I'd like to peel back the curtain a little bit and let you get to know me better through my experience as a Perrysburg mom. I've been here since 2007 and I raised my two boys here. Number two, my second thing here on the list, there's all kinds of moms in this world, and I've got a big old list of them. It's kind of like the mom roll call. And I know it's a little listy, but it's really kind of fun to listen to. I hope you'll stay tuned for that. And then, third and finally, I would like to share some of my personal favorite mom related things. There's books, movies, and a YouTube channel. There's a lot of things that I enjoy as a mom, including photographs. But, anyways, I'm going to share at least one book, a few movies, and a YouTube channel with you. All right, let's get started with part one, my experience as a Perrysburg mom. My name again is Kim Newlove, and I have been a Perrysburg mom since 2007. My husband and I have two adult children now. Their names are Craig and Derek, and they are both in their early 20s now. When we moved to Perrysburg back in 2007, they were 2 and 4 years old. I can't believe it. I've got a 21-year-old and a 23-year-old. And speaking of being in your 20s, here's kind of my life story. I got married at the age of 22 to my high school sweetheart, who was 25 at the time. Actually, he had just turned 26. We're 3 years apart. Anyways, we found ourselves pregnant within a year. So at 23, I was pregnant, and we had our first son, Craig, when I was 24. Derek, our second son, came along 2 years later when I was 26, and neither child was planned. And deciding to stop at two kids was a very personal decision. I don't know about you, if you're a mom listening to this. How does anybody know how many kids to have? I looked at my good friend Rachel, who had six kids, and I thought, well, should I stop? I don't know. Am I normal or what should I do? What's the right answer? Before my husband, Nathan, and I started our family, I thought of a number, right? I thought maybe I would go up to six kids. It wasn't because of my friend Rachel, but still. I thought, maybe I'll go up to six. But once our older son, Craig, had his diagnosis of autism at the age of 2.5, and I had this newborn Derek in my arms, I realized I already had my hands full. So we stopped after two. I remember pausing actually when Derek was about 4 and asking myself, should I have another one? But I realized that just because we could have more children didn't necessarily mean that we should. So my husband and I made an agreement. We just decided we're done. So we stopped at two kids. I know this is highly personal, but there's probably at least one person out there listening to this that needs to hear this. How does anybody know how many kids to have? It's a very personal decision, and that's the answer. As I record this in 2026, I am now 47 years old and my husband is 50. And you know what? We have no regrets. Our family is complete and we are thankful for our party of four, so to speak. Every time you go to a restaurant, they ask you how many, and we're like, hey, new love, party of four. Being a mom in Perrysburg has been a great experience. I think this is a great town to raise a family in. I had the pleasure of meeting all kinds of other moms and kids through the Perrysburg Moms Club, which back in 2007 was a thing. I think we had Perrysburg Moms Club East and West. I don't even know if they have it anymore, but once you start showing up to places with kids, you make friends. The kids make friends, the moms make friends. Some other great places to make friends were the playground. Still, I mean, to this day, going to the playground with kids is a great place to meet other kids and moms, dads too, grandparents. Going to church, you meet people through church. Going to the library, we moms meet other moms at the YMCA classes or wherever you exercise. You're bound to meet other moms, and the kids all make friends in the kid zones. There were summer rec programs when my kids were growing up, preschool, all of the K through 12 years. I mean, we met so many people and other moms, and I think we had a really great experience raising our family here in Perrysburg. I have met a lot of other moms through sports as well. There are so many things that my kids have tried, both of them. Even though I have a son with autism, he still tried all kinds of stuff like T ball at the Y and my son Derek, he tried junior jackets basketball, he did PABSC baseball, he did swim lessons, summer rec programs, all kinds of sports over the years. And over time, I saw enough moms enough times that I made friends with them. And I ended up joining some carpools. And I got to say that Perrysburg moms know how to carpool like champs. I have carpooled with many moms over the years, and I'll tell you, it truly takes a village. We help each other out. Now, on a personal note, as a swimmer, I like to do lap swimming at the Fort Meigs YMCA. I have met a lot of moms there at the YMCA at the lap pool. And then as a mom of a child with autism, I connected with a ton of people and became friends with a lot of, autism moms through preschool and then school, K through 12. And then, of course, Facebook groups and after school therapies too. So, as a Perrysburg mom, I've had a really good experience with all of that stuff, whether I'm doing things for myself like swimming, or I'm carpooling because of sports, or I'm just meeting up with people who are at a similar place in life, like a fellow autism mom. I have found a lot of really good experiences as a Perrysburg mom. If you are a current or future Perrysburg, Ohio resident, I must say that the best way to make friends is just show up to stuff and introduce yourself. Whether we're talking about something in person or online, just show up and introduce yourself. And if you have a need, hey, a friend in need is a friend indeed in this town. I'm not saying that everybody's going to help you out, but if you don't tell somebody that you need something, you can't get help. So put yourself out there. If you need some help finding a new dentist, or if you are at a sports practice and you don't know where to buy the right helmet or the right cleats, or your kid just joined dance and you don't know where to buy uniforms, just talk to the other moms. This is the type of town where people are friendly and they share ideas and information. So once you get to know the other moms, join those carpools, go on those play dates, share that information, and pay it forward. Because if somebody helped you, chances are you'll have the opportunity to help somebody else down the line as well. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Perrysburg is a great place to raise a family, and it's a great place to meet other moms too. You will make lifelong friends if you come to this town. I know I have. As far as my own mom goes, gosh, let's talk about my mom. My mom is still alive and well here in the year 2026. She will be turning 76 this year. I am 47. She is turning 76. We'll be going out shopping and to lunch on Saturday. As I release this, it is Friday, May 8th. So we'll be going out on the 9th. We'll do some shopping and go out to lunch and just spend some time together. And we'll call it our own private Mother's Day celebration. I do have one brother and one sister. Can you guess where I fit into the birth order? I am the middle child. I have a big sister and a younger brother. I am, I think, a typical middle child too. Independent, social, a little rebellious, and adaptable. I don't know about you, but I like being a middle child. It suits me just fine. And I think I turned out okay. My mom is a retired high school English teacher. She was my English teacher and my husband's English teacher as well. And despite trying to avoid becoming just like her, I still think we have a lot in common. Even though she went into English education and I became a pharmacist, we have a lot in common. Having things in common with your mom is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. And I am very happy that I still have my mom in my life. I love my mom. I had the good fortune to know both of my grandmothers as well. They are now deceased. Grandma Alice was a farm wife and a secretary. Grandma Alice and my mom both enjoy organizing information. And I got to tell you, I feel like I get that from them. I think that was hereditary. I think it's a strength, it's a superpower. I enjoy and am good at organizing information, just like my mom and my grandma. And here's a weird fact: Grandma Alice, my mom, and I have very similar handwriting. I think that's pretty cool. I enjoy analyzing handwriting. It's kind of like a party trick, I guess you could say, but I wrote a report on it at some point, junior high, high school, can't remember when. And I remember a lot about it. Anyways, besides the point of enjoying analyzing handwriting, I feel like when I look at Grandma Alice's handwriting, my mom's handwriting, and my handwriting, it's almost like we have our own personal font and we all write in it. I don't know if you've ever stopped to think that, but everybody's got their own personality in their handwriting. But, anyways, all of ours are similar. It's like we have our own font. Like instead of Times or Times New Roman, we're all just kind of in that group of fonts. My grandma Alice was a very hard worker. She was a farmer's wife. And if you know anything about living on a farm, them people work hard. And I'm a hard worker too, in a different way than what she was. But anyways, she was such a hard worker, and I think she enjoyed being hardworking as well. I have English as my first language and German as my second language, and I learned German in high school, so it's not like I learned the language from as a child rather, or it's not like I spent time in Germany. It's just, I have high school German in my background. So anyways, I bring this up because there is a word for what my grandma Alice was, and that word is fleißig. Fleisig, Fleisig. It means hardworking and industrious. I've often thought about getting that word tattooed somewhere on my body, Fleisig, because it is so true of her and it is true of me. I feel like I'm always working all the time, or my mind is always working and doing something important. I know she was, and I feel that same way as well. And I think she would be very proud that I am a lot like her in that way. She passed away several years ago, I think in 2006. Hard to believe that she's been gone that long. I knew my other grandma too. Her name was Grandma Marilyn. Grandma Marilyn was my dad's mom. One of my fondest memories of Grandma Marilyn was that she lived approximately 1 mile from my house. And if I could walk, run, or ride my bike over to her house for a visit, I could raid her refrigerator and usually find Fago Red Pop in her refrigerator drawer. She didn't keep it on the shelf. It seemed like it was always in a drawer. I don't know if she was hiding it, but anyways, it's funny how I associate Red Pop with her, but I do. And I recently went to Mommy. There is a candy shop. I think it's the Mommy Valley Candy Shop, chocolate and candy shop. There at the corner of, I think it's Conant and Dudley. It's got a red awning at the top of the building there. So I went in there and I found that red pop, and there's probably red dye in it that's probably not good for you. Anyways, I bought some recently. I drank it and I thought of her. I shared it with my son, Craig. My son, Derek, was away at college, so he didn't get any, but my husband had some too. And I'll tell you, you can almost taste the memories. Grandma also had a teddy bear with stumpy arms and legs in her playroom. I called him Stumpy Bear. Stumpy Bear. He sat in a little rocking chair in her playroom. And later in life, when she moved into a nursing facility because she had memory problems, Stumpy Bear came to live with me in Perrysburg. Stumpy Bear is still part of my family. He actually sits on top of a bed in our basement. We have kind of like a spare bedroom in the basement. Anyways, Grandma Marilyn was always happy to see me, and all the other grandkids, of course, too. But she raised three boys. She had my dad and my two uncles. And I'll tell you, not getting a girl after having three boys was, I'm sure, disappointing. She never said that. But she always made me feel like she enjoyed finally having some girls in the family. I wouldn't say she favored the girls, but I knew she enjoyed having granddaughters. I don't know about you, but I grew up in a small town and both sets of my grandparents lived in the same town. In fact, they both sets of grandparents lived on the same street that I grew up on. So one set of grandparents was 1 mile down the street and the other was 3.5 miles down the street. I know not everybody has that story, but I grew up kind of in the country on a state route. And like I said, my grandparents were close by. They went to my track meets and they went to my band performances. And it was nice to grow up around family. Now, if you think it's interesting that I lived on the same road as both grandparents, get ready for this. I also lived down the street from two out of four of my great grandmas. Great grandma Lizzie lived about half a mile from my parents. She read and spoke German, from what I remember. My dad would tell me stories about how she would translate things for other people. And, anyways, when I would go over to her house, I loved playing with her player piano. It was a little out of tune, but I remember my dad feeding the paper scroll into this box that, the gears are in and throwing a switch, and the piano would play. It was very cool. I was learning how to play piano myself, and I thought it was pretty darn cool that a piano could play itself. I almost feel like I know my great grandma Lizzie a little better from the genealogy record that my dad gave me. I didn't put it together. He didn't put it together, but a family member put it together. And, anyways, I read it as an adult. So I almost feel like I know her a little bit better from reading about her because she died when I was in elementary school. But I do remember her. And I remember watching it was the Pemberville Parade. I forget what we called it. But, anyways, around fair time in Pemberville, there would be a parade, and she lived on the main street across the street from the church where I was baptized, confirmed, and married. Small town, everything's close together. So, anyways, if you can imagine her house facing the street, and we would watch these parades, I would either sit on her front porch or I would sit on a blanket on the grass in her front yard. And of course, during a parade back then, they would throw candy like lollipops. Tootsie Rolls were one of my favorites. And I would collect candy during the parade. And I always had fun. My cousins were there, my siblings were there, my parents were there. And I just remember that house being part of the fun too. I'm pretty sure great grandma sat on the porch and watched too. Those were good memories. Now, my other great grandma who lived down the road was great grandma Jessie. She was in the house next to my grandma Alice and my Grandpa Wilson. So, great grandma Jessie was her name, and she died when I was pretty young. I don't remember her very well, but I do remember visiting her with my mom. I remember a couple of things about great grandma Jessie. She definitely had a lot of interesting quilts at her house. And I didn't really appreciate those quilts until my mom started quilting and displaying quilts in her house. My mom told me that her generation, so great grandma Jessie's generation, didn't waste much. So they saved scraps from homemade everything: shirts, pants, dresses, whatever they had made by hand. All these things, these scraps, got quilted together in little squares, I would say like 3 inch by 3 inch, And then they used the quilts as bedspreads or, just general purpose quilts. My mom has one of those quilts, if I remember right, hanging in her family room to this day. And I remember her just touching it so fondly and feeling the corduroy patches and telling me, "Oh, I remember this from a certain dress." And, it's kind of like a photo album almost in her mind. I think she can remember all those things that she was touching, all those fabric pieces, what pants or shirts or dresses they came from. Other than remembering the quilts, I remember the barn next to her house, next to great grandma Jessie's house. There were a lot of antiques in there. I wasn't really allowed in there. I think it was probably because there were, barn things in there, old hay, things I was allergic to. I have a lot of allergies. There were probably mice and sharp things, farm implements and the like. Anyways, unfortunately, one day the barn burned down unexpectedly. I know sometimes people will burn down a barn if they're done with it and they just don't want it anymore. They want to clear the land. They'll let the fire department burn something down. My dad's parents, when they used to live on a different street, they actually burned down their old chicken coop. Well, they didn't burn it down. Sorry. The fire department burned it down as a practice exercise. And I remember that as a kid because, I got to touch the fire hose and the firefighters were there. It was very memorable. So, anyways, this was a barn that unexpectedly burned down. And I remember my mom seeing smoke in the air in that general direction and telling me to get in the car, and we raced over there. Somehow, I think my mom knew that great grandma's barn was burning down. I think she was afraid that that's what was happening. And then once we got there, we saw that that's what was happening. Thankfully, nobody was hurt, but it was sad. It was sad to lose all that family history, all the, things that people store in a barn over a century. Now, if you're not from the country, you might not understand that memories are stored in a barn. It's not just stuff, it's the three-legged stool that somebody's grandpa, like my grandpa or my great grandpa, had and milked cows sitting upon. It's hard to describe. But anyways, my mom was heartbroken, and even though my great grandma Jessie's barn may be gone, the house is actually still there. So the house did not burn down at all. They were not close enough together to for that to be a concern. Somebody bought the house well after, my great grandma died. They had to empty it out. There was a lifetime of things in there too. But anyway, someone bought it and they modernized it. And every time I drive past it, I'll tell you, it looks better and better every time I drive past it. Old farmhouses with good bones tend to stand the test of time. People love them and they make them their own. So I do think of great grandma Jessie every time I pass that house. My other two great grandmas have very different stories. Great grandma Marion lived in Fremont, and she was a very social and active lady. I think I inherited some of my personality from her. I can be a gregarious person sometimes. I also think that I inherited my thick hair from her and my grandma Marilyn, who, of course, was great grandma Marion's daughter. Great grandma Marion used to drive to see us sometimes. So from Fremont to Pemberville, for an 80 something woman, 80 something year old woman, it was kind of a long drive. But, anyways, when she would drive back from Pemberville to Fremont, especially in the dark, she would call when she got home safely. And we were supposed to just let the phone ring once and not answer it. That's kind of her code back in the 80s, her code way of letting us know she got home safely. I remember one time the phone rang and I wasn't thinking of it, and great grandma had left maybe half an hour, 40 minutes prior to the phone ringing, and I wasn't thinking and I picked it up. So, yeah, I think I cost her 10 cents. But, anyways, she got home safely. Also, another thing that I remember about her was that she used to turn her car lights inside the car on and off as she would drive away. I don't know if you're familiar with cars from the 80s, but they used to have these things. I think they called them dome lights. Anyways, it was in the ceiling and you would just push it and it would click on and off when you would just push it. kind of like that children's game. I think it's called Sorry, where there's this little bubble in the middle and you push it and something pops around inside. Anyways, we used to have these things called dome lights in the ceiling of a car back in the 80s, and she would just click it on and off. So as she was driving away, you could see the light flashing on and off. And to this day, I will sometimes do that as I drive away from my parents' house in the dark. I will turn the inside light on and off to kind of say goodbye. It's almost kind of like an homage to great grandma as I'm driving away. And my parents know it, and I'm sure they love it. I like to keep some memories alive. And sometimes when I forget, it's kind of sad. So, like right now, I'm remembering, I think I've driven away at least once or twice in the past year in the dark, like Christmas and Thanksgiving time, and not done it. And I need to keep doing that to keep the memory alive. There's a lot more that I remember about great grandma Marion, but I'm just going to share two other things that I remember most. And they are playing with her Victrola in her attic, I believe it was her attic. And then she had some Asian themed foldable fans that my sister and I loved to play with. I don't know if you know what a Victrola is, and I don't even know if it was a brand name Victrola, but anyways, it was a wooden cabinet that had something that looked like a record player in it. And she had some records that we knew how to play, and one of them was the tune called Barney Google and His Goo Goo Googly Eyes. I could sing it to you, but it would probably sound really bad, and I don't really know all the words. But I did look it up on YouTube. So if you want to look up Barney Google with the goo goo googly eyes on YouTube, you can listen to it as well. And the foldable fans that we used to play with up in the attic were very popular with my sister and me because I think we used to see them on TV and it meant that we were fancy. I don't know if we saw them in the cartoons or if it was in the movies. I can't remember. But it seemed like there were beautifully dressed women who had these foldable fans. You fan it out and you fan yourself with it, and it just kind of looked fancy. That's the 80s for you. That's my memory. For some reason, I just loved those foldable fans. Nowadays, I don't know what girls would think about them. They'd probably think they're old fashioned. But, anyways, they were special to us. It is amazing what you can remember when you think of your great grandmas. My other great grandma died before I was born, so I actually don't have a memory of that fourth and final great grandma. And I'll just say that I wish I could have met her. My parents and I have talked about diving into the genealogy of our family. Maybe someday I'll learn more about that great grandma I never met. That does it for my experience as a mom and the background about my mom, my grandmas, and my great grandmas. I didn't really talk too much about my mom. I don't know how much I should say because she's still around. I don't want to embarrass her or say too much. So there you go. Let's move on to part two. What I would like to do is celebrate mothers of all stripes. I got the idea to do this one year when I was sitting in a pew at church listening to my pastor, and I believe he was praying for all the different kinds of moms during a service on Mother's Day. Mother's Day, of course, is always on a Sunday. When the pastor listed off a few kinds of moms, I realized how very many types of moms there are out there. And although I didn't make a list of them or remember them all, I did make my own list and then I fed it into ChatGPT and I asked ChatGPT, what other kinds of moms are there? What I'm about to do is read a list of types of moms to you to celebrate moms of all stripes. I know that some moms wear more than one mom hat, so to speak. So maybe as you listen to this list, you will hear yourself mentioned more than once. I just want to celebrate moms of all kinds with this list. Here we go. Moms to be, new moms, biological mothers, surrogate moms, bonus moms, which I recently heard is the new term for stepmom. I like that. Single moms, widowed moms, mothers in law, moms who adopt, moms who never knew their own mom, moms who have lost their mom, foster moms, Boy Scout moms, Girl Scout moms, band moms and theater moms, sports moms. There's soccer moms, track, football, dance, twirling, etc. Sports moms, dog moms, cat moms, grandmothers, great grandmothers, grandmothers raising grandchildren, godmothers, co parenting moms, working moms, stay at home moms, divorced moms, immigrant moms, homeschool moms, mompreneurs. I think that's a cool term. That's a mom who's an entrepreneur, mompreneur. My fellow healthcare moms, especially pharmacist moms, teen moms, NICU moms, meaning neonatal ICU moms, those moms who gave birth and they're just waiting for their child to graduate from the NICU into their arms and head on home. There's also anyone who wants to be a mom but is unable to have children. Moms navigating postpartum depression or anxiety, empty nester moms, moms whose children are medically fragile, bereaved moms. That's a broad term that includes pregnancy loss, infant loss, and loss of children. Military moms, Gold Star moms. Those are moms whose children have died in service to our country. Special needs moms, like me. I'm an autism mom, but there, of course, are other special needs moms out there as well. Moms grieving estrangement from their children. Moms caring for aging parents while raising children, too. These are the sandwich generation moms. Battered moms. Moms with children struggling with mental illness. Moms in recovery from addiction. Moms in jail. And just for fun, let's add on a positive note here, cool aunts who serve as mom figures. That would be like my sister. She never became a mom, but she's a cool aunt. I'm sure I've missed a few different types of moms on the list, but hey, I named quite a few. And if you are a mom on that list, happy Mother's Day to you. And now for the third and final part of this episode, I'd like to share some of my personal favorite mom related things. There's all kinds of things that I could share, but what I'm going to do is share the title of a book I enjoy as a mom, a few movies that I enjoy as a mom, and a YouTube channel. And I'll maybe stick in a few bonus things. Let's get started with the book. The book is called Where the Heart Is by Billy Letts. Billy Letts, Where the Heart Is. The book and the movie are both good. I first read this book many years ago when I was young and raising my kids. I didn't get much time to read back then, but that one was worth the read. The book is about a pregnant teenager who gives birth to a baby in Walmart. She doesn't just give birth in a Walmart, she actually lives in the Walmart first because her boyfriend abandons her at a Walmart in Oklahoma, and she, I believe, is from Tennessee. So she's secretly living inside this Walmart, and then she gives birth inside the Walmart when, like, nobody's around except for one person. Spoiler alert. During her time in Oklahoma, she meets a lot of people, she starts a new life, and anyways, I don't wanna ruin it for you, but it does have a unique plot line, and I absolutely loved the book. The movie has a fantastic cast as well. So, if you are looking for a good book, Where the Heart Is by Billy Letts is a good one. Pick that one up. Oh, and I reread the book with my son Craig a couple of years ago, so I'm a much older mom, and I still like it. And yes, I rewatched the movie too, and it was still good. A few movies that I liked watching from the perspective of a mom are, I'll just name them real quick and I'll tell you what I liked about them. Okay, number one, The Parent Trap, the old one, the Haley Mills version from 1961. Number two is Bad Moms, starring Mila Kunis. And number three is Forrest Gump. So let me go back to number one. The Parent Trap. I think we used to borrow this from the library on VHS. It starred Haley Mills and Haley Mills. So back in 1961, I don't know how they filmed this, but it was a single person playing the role of twins. So she played two different people. And as a kid, I loved this. This blew my mind. And if you don't know the storyline of The Parent Trap, you need to borrow this movie or find it on a classic movie network. It's timeless. When you don't have a mom, you just want one. It's kind of the theme with Harry Potter, too. He lost both of his parents, so he just wants parents. Most kids can't wait to ditch theirs, but Harry Potter wants his. Anyways, back to the parent trap. When you are a mom, you watch that movie with a different set of eyes. Instead of watching what the kids are doing, you're kind of watching what the mom's doing. So, this is one of those movies that's kind of fun to watch as a kid, but then when you grow up, you watch it with a new set of eyes. The second movie that I mentioned was Bad Moms, starring Mila Kunis. Maybe it's Kunis. I don't know how to say her last name. Anyways, we are all bad moms sometimes, and I like that the movie kind of touched on that. We can't all be perfect. We all just do the best we can with what we've got. And that movie was kind of reassuring because we all try to be good moms, but sometimes we're just bad moms. Anytime we want to do something for ourselves, we kind of feel like bad moms. If you are a mom and you have not seen the movie Bad Moms starring Mila Kunis, you need to see it. Her last name is spelled Kunis. I think I've said it three different pronunciations. Sorry about that. Moving on to number three, Forrest Gump. Oh my gosh, Sally Field is an awesome mom in this movie. There's some hilarious moments. And I gotta tell you, I watched this movie out on a date with my husband in the 90s, if I remember right. I didn't even have kids yet. So when I watched it, I just enjoyed Forrest Gump's antics. But then watching it as a special needs mom later in life hit me completely differently. It's so fun to watch a movie and then go through life and then watch it with a different set of eyes. I really appreciated that movie, Forrest Gump. I mean, I appreciated it the first time, but as a mom, I appreciated it more. The love conquers all theme really resonated. And one movie that I'm looking forward to watching this weekend is called Remarkably Bright Creatures. It is the movie version of a book called Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. It is a best selling novel, so like a New York Times best selling novel that's been made into a movie. Coincidentally, it stars Sally Field. I'm not like a Sally Field groupie. It just happens to star Sally Field, just like Forrest Gump has Sally Field in it. Anyways, in this movie, Remarkably Bright Creatures, Sally Field's character is a grieving widow, and the story follows her unlikely friendship with a giant Pacific octopus named Marcellus. And this octopus, Marcellus, lives at a local aquarium in the Pacific Northwest. I have not seen the film yet, but if it's anything like the book, it's going to be cute and a very appropriate movie for Mother's Day weekend. I'm sure it'll be good. And I plan to watch it with my family. We're getting towards the end of the episode, I promise. What I'd like to do is tell you about just a few more of my favorite mom related things, and then I will wrap this episode up. When it comes to YouTube, one of my favorite channels is called Mama Dr. Jones. Dr. Jones is a board certified OBGYN and she talks about women's health. Now, please remember that I'm a pharmacist by training and I enjoy medical content. Now, one of my favorite things on this YouTube channel is when Dr. Jones comments on the TV show, I Didn't Know I Was Pregnant. I don't know if you've ever seen that show. I had never seen it before, but I saw a clip on YouTube of one of the episodes and I thought it was really interesting. It was educating and entertaining. Let me just say, edutaining. So I don't know about you, but I find birth stories to be very interesting. The way that Dr. Jones presents them is, like I said, edutaining. It's entertaining and educating at the same time. I'm not judging here, but how can you not know you're pregnant? Well, watch the TV show and you'll find out. I'll put a link to a recent episode of Mama Dr. Jones in the show notes on perrysburgpodcast.com. That does it for YouTube channels that I would like to share with you. The last mom related thing that I really enjoy is pictures. Pictures of my family. I make a calendar, a 12-month calendar every single year as a Christmas present for my parents, my mother in law, my family, and some other, important family members in my life, my brother, my sister, etc. So I really enjoy photography. And for the past 23 years of being a family of more than two, so beyond just my husband and me, we like to take pictures every single year of our family. Pictures are just absolutely precious to me. I enjoy making calendars with them and photo albums. I'm a little behind on photo albums and photo books, but I do enjoy looking back at pictures. And that's it for a few mom related things that I enjoy. There's definitely more to me than that, but I think that's enough for today. As we wrap this up, I'd like to say that I enjoy being a mom. I enjoy being a Perrysburg mom. I've enjoyed raising my family here in Perrysburg. Family is very important to me. In fact, I am needed at home to be a caregiver full time for my adult son named Craig. Craig has autism, so I gave up my full time career as a pharmacist to be a supportive wife and mom. It's not the path that I thought I'd be on when I got married, but I do feel like I'm saying yes to the right things and it works for me. We all do the best we can with the type of mom we become. Thank you very much for listening to episode 146 of the Perrysburg podcast. I hope you enjoyed getting to know me a little bit better, hearing about some of my Perrysburg mom experiences, celebrating my long list of moms, celebrating my mom, my grandmas, my great grandmas, and hearing me talk about some of my favorite mom related things a book, some movies, and a YouTube channel. The show notes for today's episode are on perrysburgpodcast.com. In the show notes, you will find the book title and the list of movies that were mentioned today, a link to Mama Dr. Jones's YouTube channel. You can have a lot of fun perusing that content. I know I do. And I've got a link to sign up for the weekly newsletter for this podcast. If you sign up, I will email you every week when a new episode comes out. If you know someone who would enjoy this episode, please share it with them. And if you like this podcast, subscribe to or follow the Perrysburg podcast on your favorite podcast player and on YouTube so you never miss an episode. Thanks so much for listening today. Happy Mother's Day, and I'll talk to you next week.